Hey everyone, John Roca here. Pluto TV is the leading free streaming television service. Watch over 100 TV channels and thousands of movies on demand, all completely free. Pluto TV never asks for a credit card. You don't even need to sign up to watch free. Pluto TV is the easy and completely legal way to watch your favorite TV shows and hit movies for free. What are you waiting for? Never pay for TV again by downloading Pluto TV. You can download Pluto TV for free on all of your favorite devices today, including your phone, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, smart TVs, PlayStation, and anywhere else you stream.
Brad Gilmore, he challenged me to movie trivia.
So Frank, there was something that we kind of discussed before that I wanted to just lay out on the table here. My, what would you call it, strong suit?
Brad Gilmore, he thinks he knows Back to the Future, which is only like 3 movies, so that's pretty easy.
It will be an all Back to the Future rundown Schmoedown.
Frank Janisch, I'm going to take you down brick by brick, block by block.
They are very nice to each other, aren't they? Just pleasant and sweet?
You go put on your little blazers and your little plastic loafers.
Oh, brother! Brad Gilmore brought the rundown to a whole nother level.
That's simply not going to happen here, little boy. We'll run along and do something else with your time.
And let's get ready to run down!
Sunday, 8 p.m. EST on the Collider Podcast Network.
Pluto. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Schmoedown Rundown. Introducing first, Frankie and the host of the Schmoedown Rundown, Brad Gilmore.
What's up, Movie Trivia Schmoedown fans? Welcome to the official after show for the Movie Trivia Schmoedown. It is the Schmoedown Rundown, episode 107. I'm going to get it right next week. I am your host, Brad Gilmore, joined by Frank Janisch.
Did you forget my name for a second?
For you.
Did you?
I did.
I know.
I did.
You did forget. You're like,
Frank Janisch.
You've only been saying it for like 50 episodes almost now.
Have we done that many?
At least 40, I think.
To go back to the Southern Saying segment that we had prior to a taping a couple weeks ago, bless my heart. But anyway, how you doing, Frank? How's everything? How's life treating you? How's everything treating you?
Busy. I did a big stat update on my easy remember statsite.com site thing. So
why won't you just buy a domain? Like, what's the holdup? What's holding you back?
Okay, so you know this thing called Schmoedown.com that's launching November 1st? That's why.
Yeah. Well,
that's why
what does that have to do with you?
Because get out of here. You know. I'm not going to justify that.
Sometimes I play the fool. Yes, Frank. Well, I think that we have a lot to discuss. First of all, I want to shout out to somebody. I want to shout out to somebody special. I want to shout out to Christian Harloff.
Oh.
And I want to shout out to Christian Harloff for covering our analysis. Of the Aladdin trailer on Collider Live. He did shout us out because we covered it before anyone else on Collider did, I think. That's probably wrong, but I want to toot my horn and say that that's correct. And, the music stood out. I still think it's a great trailer.
I actually did not listen to that. I didn't know that he did that. I only listened to the part where they brought up Rachel for Player of the Year.
Yeah, because you're selfish.
That's right. You got it. You finally got it. Yes, that's exactly what's 100%.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing here, is I portray a character. Frank Janisch, I'm like Stephen Colbert on the Colbert Report. I play a character.
That's a good point.
Frank Janisch is actually the biggest heel in the world. He is so self-centered. He puts himself over constantly. Why do you think that he made himself the stat man? Nobody asked this guy to do stats.
That's true.
He was like, I'm going to do it to boost up my own ego. And that's what Frank Janisch is. For those people who don't know, you think he's a nice little Midwestern Chicago boy, a little lad from Chicago. No, he's not. He's a Midwestern asshole, is what he is.
Well,
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
That's fine with me. That's fine with me.
I'm just, look at him. He's wearing what kind of shirt are you wearing? You're wearing a vodka shirt? Does it say vodka on it?
No, it's a pizza place. It says pizza.
Oh, what a heel move.
It's pizza.
Is that deep dish?
No, it's regular pizza.
Okay, because deep dish isn't real pizza.
Is that? It could be. I don't know. I don't care. I worked here in high school, actually. I still have the shirt.
Oh, and you still have you still fit the shirt.
That's right.
That's very good. Well, so I wanted to shout out Christian because I like that he brought that up. I thought that was cool. I like the plugs that we got on Collider Live this week. But you, Janisch, being the heel you are, you wanted to address the same guy that I shouted out. If I have my facts straight, if I'm looking at the rundown correctly for the rundown, yeah, it says right here. You want to address Christian Harloff. Now, why? You didn't tell me what. You didn't give me any insight. I have no idea what you're about to say. What do you want to address Christian Harloff for?
So we talked about the gauntlet. We didn't exactly know how it was gonna if the wild card winner was gonna be announced in the video or he's gonna what. But like literally hours later, after we finished recording the episode, he tweets out that Chance won the wild card, which then made everything that we talked about just completely irrelevant. And it's not like it was like 2 days, 3 days later. It was literally hours afterward. So
what's your gripe? I was just your gripe is he should have shouted it. He should have given us the heads up.
At least the heads up, so we could either A, talk about it like we know what's happening, that Chance got the wild card, or B, be like, hey, tomorrow I'm going to announce, the wild card winner. We could have teased it here and not, we could have, or he could have, told us that we could have announced it. But I understand it was a Patreon thing, so he could have just been like, "Hey, pay attention to the Patreon tomorrow," and we could have did something like that. But now, like it was the 5 minutes we spent on it last week was just, poof, gone. No, it doesn't matter.
5 minutes that we'll never
Fast forward.
Get back.
Yeah. Precious 5 minutes.
Well, you know what, Frank Janisch, just get off your high horse, damn it. Just get off of your high horse.
I'm up here and I'm afraid of heights, so
I'm telling you, y'all don't realize how big of a heel Frank Janisch is. But before we get into the week that was,
wait till they see the behind the music episode. What really happened?
We should do that. We should really.
We could do a spoof. We could do a spoof.
A documentary. Chris Clark, by the way, producer extraordinaire Chris Clark on the line. Chris Clark, would you be down to do a behind the Schmoedown rundown behind the music?
I would love to do that. I love the editing in that show. That would be really fun. Behind the music, boom, 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 and then you guys we're talking about how you guys were addicted to drugs and that you hit women with your car.
I'm addicted to stats.
Whoa! This isn't the Poison behind the music. This is
or Motley Crue. That one's a great one, by the way.
Do you know that MGK is playing Tommy Lee in the Motley Crue movie?
Oh, dear God.
It's coming to Netflix, I think, next year.
Oh, well, Netflix. Okay.
That's okay with you?
That makes sense. That makes sense, then.
Why does that make sense?
Because I don't think MGK is for the big time. Netflix is, mid-tier. It's not quite there yet. Yeah.
So, Mr. Marty Scorsese, that little movie called The Irishman.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to
he's like the first. He's like the first. The Will Smith movies, but in terms of quality. In terms of quality, though, they've been very more missed than they have hit on those kinds of movies. That's all I'm saying.
Well, people don't tune in to us for our movie takes. That's what they do for Collider Live and Movie Talk. They want to hear about the Schmoedown, and I'm sure everyone listening is why the hell are they going on and not getting to the week that was?
Yeah. They probably fast forward too far by now. They're like, shit, I gotta go back 10 seconds.
You're probably right. And you know why you're right? Because I know you've done that for other podcasts. I can tell. That's one of your traits. Once again, heel Janisch strikes. Let's talk about the week that was, though, Frank Janisch. You mentioned the singles tournament. There is information that is out about it. What do we know now that we didn't know last week?
That we didn't know as of the recording last week that Chance was going to be the wild card winner, so he's automatically.
He won the magic number.
Yeah, he's automatically in. Yeah, the magic number, not the wild card. The magic number. He's automatically in the tournament now. So I believe Josh McCouga and Lon Harris. They're going to go up against each other, and then Ben Bateman and Janine. Right.
So who do you got? So we know that you said it was Chance who got the magic number. Who do you got in Ben Bateman versus Janine the Machine?
I got Ben Bateman.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet.
Just because he's been playing really well in the team tournament. He's really stepped it up since, like we talked about, he's been up and down in the singles this past year, but he's really picked it up in his team play, and I think that's going to carry over into this match. And then for Josh and Lon, sorry, Josh. I got to go with Lon. He's been playing phenomenal as well. Just in singles, he's been playing phenomenal all year. He just hasn't had that many opportunities. So I'm glad that he's in this little mini gauntlet. That's going to get him, I think, into the actual tournament, because I think Lon will probably beat Ben to get into the tournament.
So this is odd, and I may have brought this up on the show before. I don't know if I have. But Farrah, as everyone out there I hope knows by now, my girlfriend, my lovely girlfriend, Farrah.
Yeah, you're talking about ad nauseum, Jesus.
Yeah, well, whatever. You would too, brother. But anyway, her favorite Schmoedown competitor is Lon Harris.
Amazing.
That's her favorite Schmoedown competitor, which now makes Lon Harris my least favorite Schmoedown competitor, which is why I'm going Josh McCouga in round number 1. If for no other reason, sprinkle a little fairy dust on that match. I think he's got a shot. I think he's got a hell of a shot.
I mean, if Cody Hall had a shot...
Cody Hall almost wrecked shop on him.
Exactly.
Cody Hall was dropping the mic almost. He was one question away.
And don't forget, in what was the Patreon exclusive match, when Josh played Nick Scarpino, Josh only missed one question in that match. So he's got it in him to pull out some big points and some big pulls and questions. So
don't ever say pull out big again to me. Just you could just say he can come from behind with a win. That's not even good either. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, boy, bringing that E right next to the title on the feed right now.
Put that explicit tag on here. Parental advisory. This show's already off the rails, and we're 5 minutes into it. I think, though, that Josh McCouga, these are my picks, Josh McCouga, Ben Bateman, in that little mini tournament. I think that Ben, like you said, he's always played well. He hasn't done great in singles this year. You talk about the loss to Roca most recently, but I think this is kind of a controversial take because I love Andrew Guy. That's my guy. Andrew Guy's my guy. I think he's been playing with Riley a little bit better than he played with Andrew this year. Just a little bit.
That off the top of my head, that seems true. Especially the last couple matches they played together, Andrew and Ben. Ben's definitely playing better than he played, I think, in the Shire Wolves match at the live event. So I would agree with that mostly. Yeah.
So I got Ben winning and I got McCouga winning, and so the winner of that, then they play each other. Correct.
Correct.
So
that's to get in the 8th final spot. Yeah.
So let's play this game. You've got Ben. Let's go with my situation first. You've got Ben, and you've got Josh McCouga. Who wins that one?
Man, if Josh already has the mojo working, it's like,
how do you not go?
God, I would love to see Josh. I would love to see him in the tournament.
Because
the last time he was in an 8-person tournament, he spoiled Clark Wolf back in 2016. I've still got to go with Ben though.
I think I'd go with Ben. I think I'd go with Ben between those two. But then, okay, let's go Ben Lon.
I would. This makes me think a little bit harder.
You today. Yeah.
Yeah, but because I automatically want to go to Lon, but I don't want to discount Ben that quickly. Right. But it's just like I said earlier, Lon's been playing great the whole year. He just has had limited opportunities, and I think Lon can do it.
I mean, I'm not doubting Lon's ability, and we're going to talk about Lon Harris here momentarily on the show. For some reason, there's certain people, you know what the yips are, Frank, right?
Yeah.
You've heard of the yips? Chris, I don't know if you're familiar with the yips, but the yips are like, it's a more of a baseball term than anything, but it's a sports term, right?
Yeah, like John Lester had the yips thrown to first base off the mound a couple years ago.
Yeah, it's just there's something in you that just doesn't allow you to complete. It's like a psychology thing.
Yeah.
It's just there's something the circuits are short circuiting for some reason. And you got to get over the yips. I don't know why. Sometimes when I look out, I can spot who's got the yips. It's just one of my talents. You know what I mean? Like, I can also tell if somebody's 12 right away. I can point out if somebody has the yips. And I think that Lon Harris has the yips. I'm just throwing it out there. I think that
he's going to get the yips?
I think he's got the yips.
Already?
We just haven't seen them get laid out on the Schmoedown arena. I say this because you remember the long-standing criticism to Bibbiani was the third round thing, right? Mm-hmm. I think once Bibbiani essentially broke that curse by winning the singles championship, because that alleviated the curse of the Bambino, as far as I'm concerned, with Beast. Somebody's got to have the curse of the Billy Goat. The curse of the Billy Goat, I think, was going to fall on Lon Harris. This is just my prediction. And when I'm right, like I was almost right identically when it came to Andrew Guy's run this year in singles, just come back, reference episode 1010, and make sure you remember
1010. Yeah,
1010.
A future episode yet to come.
Make sure you reference that episode. What are we, 107? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
107. Make sure you reference episode 107, because that's going to be the episode you're like, wow, Brad Gilmore predicted that Lon Harris has the yips. He's going to have the yips. Round 3 is going to be the detriment of Lon Harris.
You don't think it's possible that... Okay. You don't think possible that Dan Murrell had the yips? That he's the one with the yips?
You know what? I do think so. I think we got two yippies here.
Two yips?
We got Yippee and we got Kaye. Yeah, we got them both, I think.
Oh, boy.
I think, when you have such a high-profile loss, I think that's the thing with Dan Murrell. Not that I think that he couldn't come back. And maybe I shouldn't say that, because we've already seen him come back and win in teams. But we haven't seen him compete again in singles.
Right.
And that's going to be the test for him. It's going to be the test for him, because he came back and won in teams.
Yeah.
We saw him win at the live event. So I think that maybe Dan Murrell no yips. Lon Harris, I have nothing to put this on. I have no stats. I have nothing but a feeling. And I'm hooked on a feeling that Lon Harris has the yips. I spent too much time on this. Let's move on. So if Lon Harris goes forward, he's going to face Chance in the first round. So Chance, if he wins, or whoever wins this little mini tournament, do they play Chance?
They were going to play Clark Wolf, because Chance is
Clark Wolf.
Yeah, Chance is playing Ethan Irwin, and Clark Wolf is going to face the Gauntlet winner. So very interesting.
I don't like Chance's chances. I'm gonna be honest with you. Ethan Irwin
that's. I'm curious. I mean, it would be nice to see him play in a Gauntlet match just to get a feel for how he would play by himself. But he's getting thrown right into the fire against Ethan Irwin, who is a potential candidate for Rookie of the Year still. I mean, if he runs the table here in the singles tournament and then wins that spectacular, he could still be Rookie of the Year. Potentially, depending on how you look at it.
He would have to do all of that. And if he does all of that, I would think he is the Rookie of the Year. But right now, Mauro Kanopik is the clear-cut Rookie of the Year.
No, absolutely. But yeah, Chance going up against Ethan, that's going to be, two rookies essentially, going up against each other there.
But I would imagine Chance is the underdog on that one. And then Clark Wolf could potentially face Janine Makuga, Ben Bateman, or Lon Harris.
Yeah.
Ben Bateman versus Clark Wolf is somewhat of a dream match. I'm going to be honest with you.
And here's why. Because if you look at how Ben has, especially in this match against Cinemaniacs, which we'll get to, how Ben was really going after Bibbiani mostly, and a little bit of Nost, but
yes.
He wouldn't dare pull this stuff against Clark Wolf. The same thing we said, remember when we were talking about Andrew Guy trying to, before the Sharwolves match Team Action had, Andrew Guy tried to spit some action towards Clark Wolf, and I was like, that dude's a dead man.
Well, we know Clark Wolf pulls no punches.
Right.
But I think that Ben would absolutely try it. I mean, why would you abandon your game plan? Either you're going to go in there, you're talking smack like Ben Bateman, you're talking smack like Conor McGregor, you're either going to ice Jose Aldo in 15 seconds, or you're going to get beat up by Khabib Nurmagomedov. It's either going to go your way or backfire, but you might as well stick to what brought you to the dance.
Hey, I would love to see it.
But I think it's a dream match. I think Ben Bateman versus Clark Wolf singles is a dream match. Now, what else do we know about the first round?
As far as I can tell, there may be other information by the time this episode comes out due to Christian.
Don't throw those slugs anymore, Janisch.
Merle will be playing Stacey Howard, and we have Andreyko playing McWeeny. We know that because McWeeny talked about it.
Andreyko McWeeny
at
is
the
a
end
great
of his match today. Yeah, that's a scary one. I mean, all of them are going to be ridiculous because it's an 8-person tournament, so automatically, it's really the best of the best right now for the most part. And these matches are just going to be, just bloody messes. It's going to be crazy.
The thing is it's there was a term back, when you're putting an album together, and Chris, you probably have heard this. It's all killer, no filler. You want all your best songs. You don't want any filler tracks on there. And that's what this singles tournament is. It's all killer. There's no filler whatsoever. Let's talk about our first match on Tuesday. We saw the Cinemaniacs versus Who's the Boss. Now, we already knew who Chris Clark was pulling for, but Cinemaniacs was the team that when we first broke down all the teams that were going to compete in this Teams Anarchy tournament, was the team I originally pegged as this could be a really good team of balancing out each other's weaknesses. And I thought that we saw some of that in their first match together. But then who's the boss? Man, when we first saw them perform together, I thought this is a match made in Schmoedown heaven. You add Dagnino in there, you add Finstock in there, it gives you a little bit of everything. It's like, when I was a kid and I'd go to an Italian restaurant, I'd order the appetizer sampler. And, you got your mozzarella sticks. I got a little calamari. I got the cheese-filled ravioli. I wanted a taste of everything, Janisch. That's pretty much what I'm saying. And that's what you get with Who's the Boss. You get a taste a little bit of everything. So I thought this was an interesting matchup. But going in, I don't know who the favorite was, but I would say it would, in my opinion, it was Who's the Boss.
Yeah, I would lean that way as well, just because I think there is a lot of internal strife between Bibbiani and Nost, whether that's genuine or for show. I think still either way it was going to affect, how they played during the match. Also, I think Nost isn't particularly he has hot and cold streaks, whereas Bibbiani's been pretty solid, especially when you talk about the first 2 rounds. We won't get into the third round stuff, but for the most part, Bibbiani, again, he's a 7-8 point player in the first round. Nost is 5 or 6, and then depending on that second round, it could go either way for Nost. But Bibbiani's always going to be that constant. And I liken this team to basically, and Ben Bateman did the same thing practically when he said it's kind of like top 10 all over again. Except Bibbiani, I think we've agreed that he appears to have a more wide base of knowledge than Roca, although Roca has been highly successful, obviously being a former champ in singles and teams. But so I saw a similar dynamic here in terms of knowledge, and so I wasn't really sure how far that was going to go because top 10, believe it or not, has never won 3 team matches in a row. And so for Nost to actually do that,
crazy stat.
Yeah, and for Nost to do it with Bibbiani, trying to do that with Bibbiani, I thought was kind of a tall order, but the theatrics were too good. I wanted to see a lot of them, but there's a lot of teams I wanted to see. The dynamics between all these teams, especially between these 2 teams, Cinemaniacs and Who's the Boss, I think these have shown the best dynamics between teammates and including the manager role. So it's been, to get these 2 right here, this could have been a final, and it would have been magnificent. But here we are in the second round, and it was, you said you get a little bit of everything with Who's the Boss, and I think you still get a little bit of everything with Cinemaniacs as well, but you can't argue Who's the Boss is the main ticket here.
Why though, is Matt Nost becoming one of my favorite personalities over at Collider? I don't know why.
Because you haven't had the opportunity to see him enough, and now that you've seen him a little bit more recently, he's fresh in the mind, and I gotta say, the one-liners, the quips, they were flying off the shelves on both sides of the desk. It was fantastic. And Ben Bateman, he got burned a couple times.
He got burned kind of bad a couple times, and Ben Bateman is known to put out a tongue lashing, and he showed that he can take one as well. Matt Nost, when I did those post-match interviews for Top 10, the first thing that this man has ever said to me was he looked down at my feet and he said, "Italian loafers with no socks, bold move." That's the first thing that he ever said to me.
That is, oh god, that is.
I'll never forget that as long as I live. I'll never forget that as long as I live. It was great. So let's talk about round number one. Give me the rundown. Give me the stat sheet. How did these two teams perform in round number one?
It was a tight match. It was 11-12 in favor of Who's the Boss. Bibiani, Bateman, and Riley all got 6. Nost had 5, so it was just a 1-point lead. This is a very, kind of a slow start in a sense to the match, but then it really picked up towards the tail end, and it got really interesting, especially with all the players, so neck and neck throughout the whole entire round. And again, we go back to these one-liners and quips by Bateman walked. One thing Bateman should have learned is don't ever go after the champ, because he can always point to that strap on his shoulder and go, "What have you done?" And he walked.
We've all been champs here. Yeah. We've all been champs here. What about you? Oh, that's right. The only belt you have is to hold up your jeans.
Hey, and that's an important role that belt plays. And I also finished the marathon. I'm going to put that out there. I'm going to say that. Finished the marathon.
Well, okay. But you know what? Neither one of us have championships, but that's going to change come Sunday live. That's tomorrow live on Collider Podcast Network. The Back to the Future Trivia Schmoedown champion of the world will be decided. Frank Janisch versus Brad Gilmore, with the singles champion hosting and Robert Meyer Burnett. But I think that this first round was kind of like, do you remember those competitions they used to have where, let's say there was a Ford F-150 and everybody would put their hand on the truck? And the first person to remove, so if you removed your hand, you lose, right? And the last person. I felt like this match was kind of like that. Everybody had their hand on the truck, and it was going to be the first one of the 4 of them that took their hand off. They got one question wrong. They got that one they should have gotten wrong. That's all it was going to take for this match to dramatically turn. That was the feeling I got in round number 1. And Matt Nost only coming out with 5 points, I believe. I thought that was like, okay, that's a small chink. That's a small chink in the armor, and you don't want to be this closely skilled. I mean, I think all their skill levels are kind of on the same wavelength, I would say at least. You don't want to be that close and give up any inch. You don't want to give up any inch. So going into round number 2, I already thought that Cinemaniacs, even though it was only 1 point, I felt just watching it, their backs were against the wall.
It's interesting because, you certainly could say that. However, you have to wait to see what category they get in round 2, and that's where I go, okay, well, now we're going to find out for real, because a 1-point deficit to a team like Who's the Boss, you'll take that. You'll take that. I mean, obviously you would like to be in the lead, but a 1-point deficit that's really nothing to worry about, because there's still a lot of game left to play, and anything can happen when you get into that wheel round. And so when they spun away from Meryl Streep after Who's the Boss deferred, I thought that was kind of curious, given Bibiani's nature of getting the crowd to chant Meryl Streep every time the wheel was spun. So that was kind of a bummer, actually. But they went to Fantasy Sci-Fi, went 6 of 6 for 8 points, and you got to be double digits if you want to be in this kind of match against a team like Who's the Boss, against Riley Bateman. You want to hit double digits at the very least. But, they played a strategic game and not letting Who's the Boss capitalize on any misses. So I think that was good. But the only problem is, in doing that, they had to go to multiple choice too many times. And I think when you look at a team across the table like Who's the Boss, you can't play that conservative. You're going to have to take some shots, and I think they took too much time going to multiple choice when they probably could have took a shot on the last couple of questions, because they know Who's the Boss knows their stuff, and if they hit something strong, then everything you've done in that round is really all for nothing.
Well, how frustrating was it for you for them to land on Meryl Streep, the Cinemaniacs, and not take it? We love William the Beast Bibiani in this show. Obviously, we've had him on numerous times. We love every time the Beast is on. He is the singles champion right now. But did we just find out William Bibiani is just the biggest troll in the terms of the audience members of the Movie Trivia Schmoedown audience? Because why would you always start the Meryl Streep. We talked to him about the Meryl Streep chant on the show before. Why would you always start the Meryl Streep chant, and then when you have the opportunity, you do not take it? Chris Clark, you got to come. You got to come to bat for your guy right here. You got to come to bat for your man's Bibbs Iani. Why would Bib Iani spin away from the thing that he always cheers for the most?
I'll be completely honest with you guys. I am with you guys in this respect. I wish Bibbs stuck with Meryl Streep just because this fantasy sci-fi category obviously didn't do them any favors. But the thing is, the whole Meryl Streep kind of chant kind of diminishes a little bit since he didn't take it. I don't know if that's how you guys feel.
It's dead on arrival.
I wish he took it.
You can't do it anymore.
I feel like hindsight's 20/20. He was in the moment. He probably, if he could turn back time, like future Bibbs probably could, he probably would take Meryl Streep. So I'm with you guys. I am kind of disappointed, but yeah, I just wish that he took Meryl Streep because I want to know what that category is like.
Fresh.
Yeah, it would be super fresh. Yeah.
And it would have been nice.
And surface level.
That fantasy sci-fi. Go ahead, Chris.
It would have been surface level. It would have been, since it wasn't picked a lot. It would have been questions that were kind of like not as deep. So I think strategically he made a misplay.
I think that he did too. And here's the thing: that fantasy sci-fi category is such, it's such a sneaky. It's a silent devil. It really is. Because I feel like every time somebody pulls it, even going back to Ethan Irwin and Sabina, they pulled, I think, fantasy sci-fi, and it's what cratered their game. It's what cratered their match, was that awful category. And I don't mean like I don't like the category. I'm just saying it's such a broad term.
And it's been so broad. Used a lot. It's been used a lot. I mean, it's one of those,
so much.
Going back to 2014 tournament, it's been, you've been pulling questions consistently from that category. I mean, you bring up Ethan Irwin, he did do really well in a singles format in fantasy sci-fi, but, when you're going through so many fantasy sci-fi questions over the years now, you're going to hit a few bumps in the road here, and they can come at the wrong time, and it did here, especially for Bibbs and Nels. Again, they knew them, but they had to go to multiple choice so many times, it really diminished the fact that they actually, went 6 for 6.
Yeah. It's not that they didn't answer the questions correctly. It was just the difficulty of the questions made them go to multiple choice. Yeah. And getting 50%, getting all the questions correct, but only getting 50% of the available points, that is not setting you up well for victory. You already had that 1 point deficit going into this round, and then getting that. It's just I just don't think that it was a good move. I'm with Chris, and I don't know, Frank, if you agree too. Stick on Meryl Streep. I mean, what are they going to... They're going to pull some Devil Wears Prada, whatever other movies that she's done, the Ricky and the Guitar, whatever that... I don't know what Meryl Streep has done. She's done a lot of movies, okay? They're going to talk about The Post. They'll talk about End of the Woods.
You could argue that her filmography is just as vast as a fantasy sci-fi category. I mean, she's done a whole lot of stuff, but at least you're able to hone in on her specific history of film, whereas fantasy sci-fi, it's... thousands.
You have to be way more. Yeah. And to me, it's like what Chris said. It's surface level. If Meryl Streep is an ice cream cone of vanilla ice cream and I'm getting gummy bears on the top of it, those gummy bears are getting eaten first. All right? The movies that everybody knows about, the ones that we all talk about for Meryl Streep, those are the questions we're probably going to get first, maybe with one deep cut in there, and that's for those people that, they'll lick the ice cream as it's falling down the cone. That's what that deep cut is. But everything else is going to be the gummy bears first. So I think they should have gone with that. They get 6 out of a possible 12, and then it's who's the boss's turn.
Yeah, and they get Spinner's Choice, and they go right to movie release dates, and they crush it. The worst thing that could have happened for Cinemaniacs. I mean, they pull off 10 points out of the 6 questions, they missed one, and Cinemaniacs were not able to capitalize, which would have tied them and kept them at a 1 point deficit. Despite Who's the Boss going 5 of 6 for those 10 points, they were only still up by 3. Could have been worse, but I mean, so you can argue that Cinemaniacs going to multiple choice kept him within reach, although 3 points is not where you want to be. 2 points, no more than 2 points, going into that final round. So Who's the Boss was able to put 3 up there, which forces then Cinemaniacs to have to answer at least the first 2 in round 3 just to get a lead and send it back. So Who's the Boss did what they needed to do. Ben Bateman, he's on a mission to solidify his name and image on the movie release date slice, and he did a hell of a job in this round. Yeah, along with Mark Riley, obviously.
Mark Riley's like, I don't know. Mark Riley's up there with the movie release dates. He was very impressive there. He was holding his own with Mr. Bateman, whose face is on that beautiful, beautiful slice. So I don't know. I think that 3 points, though, in a game, it's like I said, Matt Nost took his hand off. Bibiani just had a finger on the truck. Going into he was feeling it.
He had to go bathroom again.
He had to go to the bathroom. It felt like the free for all over again.
Yeah.
And then you get to round number 3, 3-point deficit. Frank Janisch, why don't you give it to me?
Yeah. So Cinemaniacs, Bibiani goes first, hits his 2-pointer, then goes to Nost. Couldn't hit his rom-com question. That was the what was that one? He has to lead. Oh, it was the Cher. What was Cher's last name? And Clueless, and as many times as I like Clueless, and I've seen it plenty, could not for the life of me remember her last name because you always just think of
no
Cher.
idea.
You just think of Cher.
I had
couldn't
no
get it.
idea.
But
you know what though that match made me do? It made me have sicko mode stuck in my head for the rest of the day because I was like, Stacey Dash, most of these girls don't have a clue.
Stacey Dash, yeah.
Shout out my man Killa Callion, by the way, who had a cameo in the sicko mode video. But anyway, continue.
Excellent. Nost, I actually really like the fact that he didn't waste any repeats in that scenario because you had a 5-pointer that you absolutely had to get. The game really didn't rest on the 3-pointer in a sense. So why waste it? Because you might really need it for that 5-pointer, and you can collab with Bibiani, who's really good. So I'm glad that he didn't waste any time to try and he simply knew that he was never going to come up with it, and said, hey, whatever. And then they go to their 5-pointer. They ended up getting it without having to use any repeats, and then we have to see Who's the Boss go, and they just have I wouldn't say an easy job ahead of them, but they had to deliver. Because the pressure was then put on them for the first time in the match. It took all the way, for Cinemaniacs to get to their last question to do so, but they did it, and that shows the promise of what the Cinemaniacs could have been. Is that this team would have fought really hard had this been just a regular league match. This is a scary team that would have fought really hard and would have come up big in certain situations, I think. But Who's the Boss really showed that they're for real here, and this isn't. They need to be taken as, legit threats for not just the tournament, but for the title.
Well, I don't disagree with you there. Now, let's talk about now there was a Quentin Tarantino question for Who's the Boss, correct? Was there not?
Yeah, for Ben Bateman, yeah. Ben Bateman's
yes, and which one was that? Yeah, that was his 3-pointer. Okay, now they ended up winning the match. Who's the Boss?
Yeah, it was the Grindhouse.
We don't really talk too much about post-match interviews here. It was the Grindhouse question. Right.
Yeah.
What were the 2 movies packaged as? And it was Grindhouse.
Yeah.
And he didn't.
It's kind of an easy one.
It was easy. I'm not saying that it wasn't easy. If you're any kind of general movie fan, you probably could remember. Oh yeah, what was that called? Grindhouse. I remember the trailers for it.
Yeah.
But we don't really talk about post-match interviews too much here unless there's something of merit or substance to discuss, and I think that there was. Bibiani is the singles champion, and I love you, Bibbs. I do. There was a little bit too much complaining. Like he even said, I know Christian doesn't like to complain, so I'm not going to complain, but that's me complaining anyway about degree of difficulty for the questions. Do you think that Bibiani had solid ground here, or do you think that this is another instance of, hey, man, you could have selected the same exact categories. Your numbers were different. This is the game.
Yeah, and look, I don't want to get into a debate about level of difficulty for a 2-pointer or a 3-pointer and how they need to try and equalize that across the board. I do feel like I do agree with the point that you had to name one of Tarantino's 9 movies, whatever it is, 8, I think, right? Like, that's a 2-pointer to me. You just got to name a title of his movie. That's a 2-pointer. It's a simple answer to put out there. So I agree with him in that sense, but it did play out the way it played out. They had other opportunities, in the match to not get to that point, but still, I see what he's saying.
I just, I don't know. I don't find a lot of merit to it, to be honest with you. It's like you could have gotten the same exact question. You just picked a different number. I mean, it really, we talk about the game can only be so, it can only be so fair without having the added factor of luck. That's just always going to be a factor when it comes to this game. Even if you make the questions all the same, degree of difficulty or of what you perceive the same difficulty, some people are going to obviously know them and some people are going to struggle with them. That's just the luck of the game. And I think that this is, sometimes is there legitimate criticism? Absolutely. When it's, when maybe 5-pointers are just way off on each other. But I just don't think that this is something that needs to be constantly litigated, especially on the game after different rule summits, after this has happened many times before. And I'm not trying to pile on Bibbs. This just kind of goes to a larger point for me. Is that there's always going to be that element of luck, and you can't account for it. It's just like, when you go and play golf, sometimes everything lines up perfectly and you hit a beautiful drive and it goes in the hole in one shot. That's not skill. It's not. That's luck. Right. You can get a lot of things right up to that to try to make that more likely. Right.
Hard work meets opportunity. And then
exactly. Exactly. So that's kind of what I think. So I think that these arguments need to just let them die. You can complain all you want to, but it's just the luck factor is never going to be taken out of the game.
I will say this lastly, and I've heard other players talk about it. One question required you to see the movie. For the most part, you could have looked up the IMDb page for Clueless, Cher Horowitz, or if you had watched the movie, you would have heard her last name in the movie. Whereas a Tarantino question, you just needed to know his IMDb. You never even had to see the movie in order to answer Ben's question. You just had to know that this was something that was a title of one of his movies. It required no other knowledge than knowing his film. And what I'm trying to say here is that, is it fair to have one question that requires you to have watched the movie per se for a 3-pointer, whereas another 3-pointer doesn't require you to watch the movie? I think there's legitimate arguments to be made on both sides, whether or not how you want to situate that, and I understand that, but I know those guys. The questions, they do their best over there.
But here's the thing. The thing is the name of the movie was not Grindhouse. The name of the movie was Death Proof, right?
Ultimately, but
what
theatrically,
was the collaborative effort by him and Robert Rodriguez?
Yeah, but it's tomato,
But I think, my point is not tomato. My point is that's where the degree of difficulty came into play. If it's, did you know what they were released as a package as? That's where it was. It's not, did you know the name of the number 6 film for Quentin Tarantino's filmography? It was, did you know what they were collectively packaged and marketed as? And that's Grindhouse.
Right, which again goes to the argument of you didn't actually have to see the movie to know this answer.
Okay, I know, but I'm just, I guess, I think that could be one factor, but I also think that I feel like there was an equal degree of difficulty because you had to know not the title of a movie, how the movie was released in a package. I think that's. I mean, you don't have to see the movie to know that.
I think it's a fair 3-pointer. I think it's a fair 3-pointer.
Oh, okay. I thought you just were saying it wasn't fair.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying I think it's a fair way to, but the way in which they come up with or how they deem as a 3-pointer, should you have seen in order to answer this question, are we going to have required the players to have seen the movie, or is it just enough that they know surface level and IMDb, filmography, all of that? So it all depends how you want to situate it. If they say, hey, both is all good for 3-pointers, it just, again, it comes down to luck, the number you pick, then so be it. And I'm fine with either question, but as a player, I can see the argument where it's like, hey, I needed to see the movie for my question, you didn't. But I see it. I see it both ways.
It just goes back down to luck. To me, that's all it comes back down to. It's the element you're never going to get rid of, and it's the element you should never get rid of. It's just like spinning the wheel.
They could never get rid of this. Yeah, they can never get rid of luck. It's inherent to this game. Yeah,
yeah, you just cannot do it. It's impossible. It is impossible to get rid of the factor of luck. So that's why I'm saying let's just stop complaining about it. The other thing that was in that post-match promo that I thought was interesting was John Rocha confronted him, of course, before their championship match that goes down next week. And
Made sense.
Just like Bibbs got Ben Bateman earlier in the match, I think Emma Fyfe scorched John Rocha here. Absolutely. And John, you're my guy. I actually, by the way, I guess we can use this time to do official predictions. John Rocha. In this match, 5 rounds.
John Rocha.
I don't know.
I've been on record for weeks now that it's gonna be John Rocha.
And I'm gonna go with Chris Clark. You're gonna probably be with Bibbs. I'm just saying. I'm taking a shot in the dark here. But Emma Fyfe saying, because John Rocha's promo was all about, you're spending too much time with the entrances and these costumes and your Hawaiian shirts with your leis. And Emma Fyfe was like, you're the first person to do that in the Schmoedown. You had the costume, you had the mask, you had the outlaw, the gimmicks, the blindfold and answer the questions. This was textbook John Rocha. It was kind of a little pot calling the kettle black there.
To be fair, in 2014, 2015 seasons before Collider, people did use costumes, but they weren't
Collider
per se characters. Whereas John Rocha really ushered in this iteration of
because he understands wrestling
costume. I mean, he put on a mask. I don't know if that's really a costume, and he
a
wore
cowboy hat.
Yeah, other people do elaborate costumes, like
more elaborate than him, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
built.
I get the burn. The burn was good in the moment,
It was good.
and he took it in stride because you hear him say, "I made it look good," and so it's fun. I thought that whole interaction was great. The one line that just absolutely killed me when it was said is when Bibiani, you want the lei, and he tries to get to the Rocha, and he throws it on the ground, and you hear Bibiani go, "Hey, I got that at a pride parade." And just like very somber and sad. It killed me to hear that. I was like, oh,
that was
so great.
I do remember that.
So great.
Well, let's talk about the second match that went down this week. Let's talk about the Harris Brothers versus Take the Cannoli. Of course, the Harris Brothers originally... No, not the WWE tag team of DOA. We're talking about the Harris Brothers were originally the evil geniuses between JTE and Lon Harris. JTE drops out due to unforeseen injuries, and now replaced by the brother of Lon Harris, older Harris. And we saw them take on Take the Cannoli, who, once again, at the time was my favorite to win. But I also thought that they were just a great solid team, and they had a great first match, and I thought that they balanced each other out very well. We know Brienne won the free-for-all this year. She had an opportunity to take down the tag team, to take the tag team championships, and lost to the Shirewolves. So I like this matchup, although there was an unknown element.
Yeah, with John coming in here, I had no idea. I guess apparently he had been on Screen Junkies before. I saw it in the promo clip. Like I said earlier, or last week rather, I didn't really do any digging into what John's all about or whatnot.
He's like our Mike Carlson.
Yes. Well, except we didn't get roasted for that one.
Yeah, that's true.
I did see in the comments last week, someone pointed out that Bibbs had said somewhere that he went to film school with John. So I was like, oh, great. Like, that guy is
of
probably...
the Bibiani variety.
Yes. Yeah. So if they ran in the same circles, then I can only imagine, John's got a decent amount of knowledge in him. It's... And Brienne talked about it, in the pre-match interview. It's good. It was good that they had a great first match between her and Drew, but kind of a disadvantage when you don't know what you're gonna get out of John. Yeah. I mean, I will say this that the Harris brothers, man, they are definitely brothers because they know how to work that gimmick of the professor and all that stuff. I was loving every bit of it. It was they did a really great job with that. John was great.
Yeah.
John was great.
Did we ever talk about how Lon in the match against Cody Hall passed syllabi out to everybody?
Yeah.
We talked about that. That's called living your gimmick, brother. That's just making it taking it to the next level.
Yeah.
He does a very good job, even though he's going to have
he never
soon.
He never breaks. It was just amazing.
No, that's a big skill. That's a big skill. Bigly skill from Lon Harris.
Bigly.
I couldn't help myself. So anyway, let's talk about the match that was, because even though you had the unknown element of older Harris, aka John Harris, it felt that, I don't know, I felt that Take the Cannoli had to be the favorite because you just had this big question mark, right?
Yes and no, because I know how good Lon is. And even if John was half the player of Lon, I still felt like this was a very even match then. This is a very even match given how Drew plays and how Brienne plays. So I felt at the very least it was an even match. You would give the slight edge to Cannoli because Drew's a former champ, and he's just been stellar his whole career in the Schmoedown. Brienne, she's gotten steadily better, but it was never in the elite status. So, I would give them the slight edge, but I still felt it was an evenly matched competition here.
I know, but you had battle tested, championship match tested competitors would take the Cannoli, and that's kind of why I gave them the go ahead there as far as the favorites go. And like I said, Lon Harris going to have the yips. But let's talk about round number 1. Frank Janisch, talk to me. How do these two teams compete, and were you impressed by the unknown factor?
No, I wasn't impressed by John. He got 5 points. Drew had 6, Brienne had 4, and Lon did not have the yips. He had 7 points, the best out of anyone in the first round, only getting that animated question wrong. Other than that, I was a wee bit disappointed with Drew, as well as Brienne to an extent, because I think there were some opportunities there that, what was that drama question, the third question that Brienne missed? Or even the first question with who gives the pep talk to Scarlet Witch. Everyone knew it was Hawkeye. I can't believe she didn't know it was Hawkeye because that movie's not that Vision. Old. She said Vision, yeah. Like, that's a point that she really could have gotten, because I know she's seen those movies, but I think there was just a couple points there. And also Drew missing the Alexander Desplat question there, the scores and soundtrack one, which is another one he could have got. So there's some missed opportunities here, some questions I think that they knew, they just couldn't come up with it in time, and that, I'm not going to say ultimately sunk them, but, it had something to do with it in the end.
Yeah, I think that it probably had something to do with it. The first round, if you're running a 100-meter dash through round 1 to 3, and as soon as they say ready, set, go, and you look down and realize your shoelaces are untied, you're off to a bad start. Right? And no matter how hard you try, sometimes it's going to be hard if you weren't right on the ball outside the gate. I was a little bit concerned. After their round 1 play, Take the Cannoli. I was like, man, Harris brothers might be a little bit more serious than I thought that they would be. But then we got to round 2. And I want to say this is one of, I don't know, the most unpredictable round 2s for me, because here's the thing. The Harris brothers go first, right?
Yeah.
And they spin. Now, what did they spin first?
Well, they spun Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, so they did spin Samuel L. Jackson first. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. This is my point. They spun Samuel L. Jackson first. Lon Harris looked a little bit like, what do you think, big brother? And I thought when he made that move, that was going to be their downfall. Because I said, why is Lon Harris, somebody who's played the game and done well in the game, why is Lon Harris turning to Big Bro, who's making his debut, to see if he wants to take Samuel L. Jackson? If anything, I was like, Lon Harris, you need to be up there, and you're the boss now. You're Big Brother in this game, all right? You need to tell him, hey, I don't know about this category. This could be a tough one. Samuel L. Jackson is the highest grossing actor at the box office of all time. He might have a lot of movies that we just aren't aware of and don't know.
Yeah.
So I thought that was weird that he deferred to him for the judgment. And then when older Harris said, yeah, let's take it, I was like, ooh, this is going to suck. I said it in my head. I said this. I didn't say it out loud because I was by myself. But in my head, I said, this is going to suck. And they didn't exactly prove me wrong. It wasn't a stellar performance in Samuel L. Jackson whatsoever. What was their point total?
They got 7, which is 1 less than Take the Cannoli earned on their turn.
Okay, I'm not at Take the Cannoli yet.
I'm just saying.
They got 7. Okay, and they went to multiple choice how many times?
3 times.
On almost all of them?
And they were
won
2 for 3.
times. Okay, well then they actually did a little bit better than
2 for 3.
2 for 3 on that. Right. Yeah. Okay, yeah, they missed on the Tarzan question, which was weird that Tate the Cannoli was just like, nah, y'all all right, we don't know it. It's like, take a swing at it. Take a swing at it. Yeah. I mean, what other 2016 film can you think of from saying, just take a swing at it? It was worth trying, but you didn't do it. That's fine. It's neither here nor there. I just thought that was actually kind of a somewhat, actually 7 points isn't terrible, but it's not great at all. It's 1 point away from being kind of terrible.
It's not great to have when you know that Drew and Brienne are still up. Like,
right. And you know that
can't sit well with you. Yes.
Right. And 7, I just was like, man, Samuel L. Jackson might be one of the most underratedly difficult categories that I think they've ever had in the Schmoedown.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing with Meryl Streep. It's kind of the Meryl Streep argument. It's, yes, she's well known and she's done a lot of movies. Samuel L. Jackson's, I think, probably done more.
I think he's done way more,
but not as notable. I think probably. So, although it's a fresh category, you can still get the really obscure question in there that you're just like, what? He did that movie? Okay. But I think they, because not every question is going to be, what character did he play in Jurassic Park? What movie
famous
snakes in a plane? Yeah, right. They're not all going to be that because he has too many movies. So, yes, I can see the argument for he's got a very vast filmography. However, it's a brand new category that's never been played on the wheel in the second round. So, I think they did.
I'm trying to find his full. I'm trying to find his full filmography, and for some reason, there it goes. I just want to look at this because what I want to do is just to show the degree of difficulty of this category. He made his official film debut was in Together for Days in 1972, where he played a guy named San Lee. Who knew that? But I just want to go through his 2016 filmography. Okay. Right? Now, this was what the question was based on. You had Cell, which I've never heard of. The Legend of Tarzan. This is the name of the movie. I Am Not Your Negro. Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. And Eating You Alive. I haven't seen one of those movies. And I've only heard of 2.
2, yeah. That's crazy. It's crazy.
Nuts. So I think that he is a very difficult category that people should. I think you should avoid him. I really do. I think you should avoid him. I'm scrolling through his filmography, and he's got a crazy filmography. Crazy. So I think that Big Brother may have led Little Brother astray a little bit, and I thought that was going to cost him the game, especially when Brienne and Drew came up and Drew spun the wheel, and they almost got Spinner's Choice the first time, but then the second time they get what is
80s.
It called? They get 80s movies.
Let me tell you something.
Go ahead. Talk to me, Frank. Talk to me, Janisch.
Drew McWeeny has never gotten a second round category he doesn't like. It's just never happened to him. Let me tell you. Okay, so he spun 80s this match. In their first match, he spun Spinners. They took 80s. Now with Above the Line, in their 5 matches that incorporated the wheel, but not including the we call it Iron Man match. I'm sorry, seven matches, not including their Iron Man match. They spun Spinner's Choice 3 times and took 70s once, 80s twice, and then they spun 70s and they spun 80s, and they were only stuck with sports and Leo DiCaprio for 2 other times, and they were fine there. But for the most part, of the 7, 5 of his spins with Above the Line, loved them all. His 2 with Cannoli, loved them. It is a ridiculous run this guy has in second round categories. It's ridiculous. I mean, 70s, again, once, 80s twice with Above the Line. So he's gotten the 80s 4 times. Incredible.
Incredible. And now, Mark Ellis, look at that clip, and you got Frank Janisch doing research. So congratulations to you, Mark Ellis. Yeah, it was a crazy spin, and it's been a crazy run of spins. Christian even calls it out on the desk. But here's the thing. It didn't pay out. It didn't really pay off for them that well.
No, it did not. Not because, again, this is his fourth time, him alone getting 80, so the well's going to be a little deeper this time. And yeah, they
You're not
felt
going to
it here.
get any Fruit of the Loom questions.
Yeah, and I think he was again, he talked about in the post-match, he was right on that edge of a couple questions, and he just couldn't quite get there because, like he said, sometimes, you may have all that knowledge, but it just comes out, garbled up, and that seemed to be the case here for a couple of those questions.
Right, and what here's the thing about the category, like you said, when you go to the well one too many times, and to me, even if it's your best category, eventually Roka's going to land on Westerns and be like, oh, I don't know. I've gotten this a couple of times here. It's kind of different. There's some categories I think you can go to all the time, and you'll still be okay. And I think one of those, movie release dates, I think you'll always be if you're good at movie release dates, I think you'll always be okay. But then eventually they're going to get to these very, very obscure things like in 1980s, like in biopics, for instance. Stuff like that we know certain competitors have as strengths. They're just going to dig way too deep.
So far, they're asking you questions about movies you've heard of. Before long, they're going to ask you about a movie release date a movie you've never even heard of. But so far, I feel like they've asked
I think that it's going to get
heard of.
Yeah, it's gonna get sticky. But so they do. What did you say? 8? They did 8.
Yeah, they got an 8 compared to 8 out of 12.
So they did okay.
So they trimmed that 2-point lead down by 1. So they were down 18-19 going into the final round. This was a tight match.
Yeah, they were very, very, very close there. And I'm trying to pull up. I'm going to go through these questions now. In round number 3, we saw Take the Cannoli go first. Their first question was modern classics. In No Country for Old Men, who plays Lewin Moss, the man who stumbles across a briefcase full of money from a drug deal gone bad? I thought that was one where you could reason your way through it. Mm-hmm. You're like, okay, I know it's not Del Toro. Who the hell else is in the movie? Yeah. Brolin's in the movie. I don't know what his character is. It's probably Josh Brolin. That's exactly what we saw happen with Brianne Chandler. And that was a good thing. That was a good example of, I don't know the answer. Let me think about it in my head. Let me reason through it. Oh, you know what? It could be Josh Brolin. Hey, is it Josh Brolin? It is Josh Brolin. Good for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what happened, I feel like. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, I think that's exactly what happened. But it pales in comparison to the difficulty. No, I'm kidding. The luck that older Harris got in his question, which was Tom Cruise, of Tom Cruise. In which film does Cruise play a character named Ethan Hunt?
I can't even with this freaking question. My Lord.
That's a 2-pointer.
It's definitely a 2-pointer, whereas I thought Brienne's probably could be a 3-pointer. That's
well, see, now we're playing semantics again.
Sorry.
Here's the thing. I never seen No Country for Old Men. I knew the answer to that question.
But you didn't know for 100%, though.
I didn't know for 100%.
Yeah, you didn't know for 100%.
I haven't seen all the Mission Impossible movies, but I was pretty sure.
Oh, you should treat yourself. They're really good.
I haven't seen the last one. What's the last one called?
Fallout. Ooh.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. Is it on digital? Is it on digital yet?
I don't know, probably. Maybe. It's been a while.
I might watch it tonight.
Sure.
But, so, I mean, obviously the Ethan Hunt question is way easier than the Josh Brolin question.
Yeah.
Obviously. But, hey, that's the luck of the draw, brother.
It is the luck of the draw. You're right.
Now, let's go to Denzel Washington. Now, I'm going to have to get on my guy Drew McQueenie for this one. Because Training Day, it came out, late 90s, early 2000s, somewhere in there. Maybe 99, 2000, 2001, somewhere in that era, somewhere in that run. But if you were a young child, you were aware of Training Day, right?
Yeah.
King Kong ain't got nothing on me.
Right.
As you grow into your formative years, Training Day was a movie, at least for my age group, and maybe for yours, Frank, because we're in the similar range there. It was a movie that was widely talked about and quoted a lot. Especially, like I said, King Kong ain't got nothing on me. And for you to not know that Eva Mendes was in that film is kind of shocking to me. Because Eva Mendes, for a young Brad Gilmore, and for a 25-year-old Brad Gilmore, Farrah, cover your ears. Eva Mendes is phenomenal. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Eva Mendes. And I think she's a great actress. She's in this movie called We Own the Night with Joaquin Phoenix that I love as well.
Oh, yeah.
And Mark Wahlberg. She's great in it. But she's also one of the most gorgeous women I've ever seen in my life. In every movie that she's in, I memory burn. There's a few of them like that. She's one of them. Jennifer Lopez another. Jessica Alba a third. And I don't think anybody has anything wrong with that. Drew McQueenie, you let me down, my guy. I'm just saying. How do you not know that? Training Day it's not like an obscure, Denzel film. This was a Denzel film. This was Denzel at the peak of Denzel. This was the peak of the powers Denzel. This is John Q, Man on Fire, right after Malcolm X, a couple years after Malcolm X. This is what's it called? Oh, what's it called when it's like a coincidence or you've been there before? It's the name of his movie. What is it? Deja Vu. This was in this era of Denzel. I know all about these movies. I love Denzel Washington and I love Eva Mendes. I was let down by Drew McQueenie. I won't hold it against him because he's great. Yeah. But come on, man. Come on. You knew this answer, Frank. I know Frank knew this answer.
Yeah, well, Training Day was a great one of the earlier. Once I start really getting into watching a lot of movies consistently, this was like one of them that I really liked a lot. I remember going back to this one. I was surprised that he couldn't pull this one, but it's a great 3-pointer because it requires you to have, at least seen the movie to really know her place in the movie. I'm just saying. I mean, you could have looked up the IMDb too and figured that out, but
you could have looked up something else, Frank Janisch. I don't know about you.
No, I'm just having fun with it now.
Yeah. Sure you are. You're way more fun than you should be. Question number 3 was coming of age. Why was Andrew, played by Emilio Estevez, in detention in The Breakfast Club? And of course, Breakfast Club, great John Hughes flick. It was John Hughes, right? Yeah, it was John Hughes. Great movie. I've only seen like 75% of it. I've never finished Breakfast Club. Every time I watch it, something happens, and I never finish Breakfast Club. But I'm aware of it. I'm well aware.
Maybe you should watch that tonight instead of Fallout. I will just say that.
Is it better than Fallout?
2 different movies, man. I'm not going to equate that.
Well, you just suggested I watch one over the other. You suggest.
Yeah, because you said you've never finished watching Breakfast Club. I'm saying if you were going to watch Fallout,
I've never seen Fallout.
Okay,
at all.
But finish something you once upon a time started.
Is there a movie that you've never finished? Or seen all the way through? Or only seen parts?
Yes, I was just thinking about this earlier. I was like,
I think Breakfast Club's like an iconic movie.
I've seen a bunch of... What movie was it? I was just thinking about this earlier. I was like, I've seen this movie so many times on TV. I've seen chunks of it all over the place that I've actually never seen the whole thing through. I can't think of it right now, but there are films like that. Yeah, for sure.
As all the great teachers would say when they could tell a student didn't know the answer, we'll come back to you. Question number 2, though, in round number 3, action adventure for the Harris brothers, and it was in the Poseidon Adventure. The ship is struck by a tidal wave during what holiday celebration? That, to me, was difficult.
Well, is it really? Because all you had to do was rack through holidays.
Yeah, but what holiday? St. Patrick's Day, Arbor Day.
Literally, is that going to be... Come on. Like, the major holidays are like the only ones you got to probably rack your brain about. And if you've seen the movie, even if you haven't seen the movie, you could, like, guess this because you have multiple choice options here. So, that's fine, though.
You could probably guess it without multiple choice, couldn't you?
That's what I meant. I'm like, basically, you have multiple choice.
Oh,
because
I see what you're saying.
You just run through the holidays.
You already have a small amount of... Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But they ended up getting it right. Was it Thanksgiving? I believe was the answer. It was New Year's. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we saw them go to their 5-pointer, which I'm trying to pull up and I cannot find. What was their 5-pointer, Frank?
It was coming up for. You mean for Harris Brothers was that Pixar question? Who voiced Slinky in
yes.
Toy Story.
In 1995's Toy Story or whatever it was. They end up getting it right. The Harris brothers win 29-25, eliminating what I think some people could have earmarked as a favorite, Take the Cannoli. Drew McQueenie will not be the first man to win the championship with two different people. Hold on here. Once again, a call from Farah. We're going to take this live on the air. Hey, Farah, you're on the Schmoedown Rundown live. I was telling people earlier that when we attended a taping in January, you were a big fan of the Professor Lon Harris. This is true, right?
True.
This is true. Why did you like Lon Harris?
For reasons I cannot explain.
I don't really like that answer a lot. That kind of makes me a little bit uncomfortable. I'm going to be honest with you. For reasons you cannot explain.
Okay.
Well, I am going to call you after I'm done with the show.
All right, bye.
Bye. So I don't like that answer whatsoever, and it makes me hate Lon Harris just a little bit more. And he's definitely getting the yips after that. He's gonna have the curse of the Brad Gilmore on him after that.
Are you now part of this meme where it's like, here's the guy she told you about, here's the guy that you need to worry about? How's that meme go? Is that what you're alluding to?
No, it's not. I'm very comfortable, actually.
I'm sure, but I think someone should make that meme.
But the Harris brothers do win. No yips have been revealed yet for Lon Harris, but I'm sure that they will be at some point. But I think a great win by the Harris brothers in all seriousness, and they've proven themselves to be quite a team. Almost 30 points in their debut as a team is nothing to sneeze at.
I think one thing that they're going to take away from this match, especially John, because he didn't really fully understand the rules or know, because we saw that with the first question in round 2, they didn't even get an answer out there. The time expired. Delay a game on them. They got to delay a game, and that never happens. Never happens. And it shouldn't have happened with Lon. He's been playing for a little bit. He should know better, but I think that shows that they kind of got to figure out how to work and how to play the game. John's got to learn the rules probably a little bit more, commit them more to memory. And that's fine because he just got thrown into this. I understand this wasn't anything planned, so John's has the fortunate opportunity to play to get up to speed here on how to play the game. And I fully expect them in the next round to really do a lot of damage and strike a lot of fear into the Odd Couple, and I know they're not going to take them lightly. Either team won't, but if Jonathan can get up to speed on how to play the game and think about strategy, and because you're going to need it at this point against Andreyko and Snyder. I mean, he's got some homework to do if they really do plan on beating the Odd Couple. Right?
No, and I agree. The Odd Couple, that's tough competition for your second match, and I'm going to be honest with you. I think the Harris brothers have a shot.
Oh, they have a shot.
They have a shot. Absolutely, they have a shot. So we'll see what happens going forward. Frank Janisch, why don't you let the people know, even though you're not the scheduled guy, what matches we have coming up next week? We know we have a big match on Friday. We know we have a bigger match on Sunday. Frank Janisch versus Brad Gilmore in the Back to the Future Rundown Schmoedown, which, by the way, I think that you're winning the poll.
7 people voted. Yeah, 7 people voted.
7 on Facebook?
7 people voted.
I think more people on Facebook. I thought there was more than that. I think there was 15 or something.
The Twitter one off our Twitter handle had 7 votes. I think it was.
And were you winning that one too?
I think so. Yeah.
Yo, I have a problem with our listeners and viewers.
I was like, okay, but it's nice to be cheered on. It's nice.
Didn't they pick you to win the first one too? Rundown Schmoedown?
No, I think they picked Aaron. They picked Aaron. I think they picked Aaron.
Picked Aaron. You were second. I think I was dead last, which I wasn't a fan of because I think I performed a little bit better than I should have. But what matches do we have coming up next week?
Oh, it's a hell of a week for John Roca. That's for damn sure. We have Corruption versus the Founding Fathers, and that's gonna be a doozy.
Ooh, brother.
And then that Friday, Roca, he's got to play Bibiani for the title. So he's got a team and a singles match there, both huge matches. One obviously bigger than the other, the singles title. That's going to be 5 rounds between these two with history, former Horseman and Bibiani. And Rocha, he's trying to be a 2-time champ like Merle did, like Riley did. These guys have been orbiting the singles belt. It's just been these 3 guys, and they've all accomplished basically the same thing, except for Rocha's never defended. Riley did defend, Merle did defend, so... But for Rocha to possibly...
That's going to be a big factor, man. That's going to be a big factor for John Rocha.
If he wins, right? And then Bibiani, though, he has an opportunity to defend right away and to solidify himself as Spectacular. It would make a good argument for him for Player of the Year as well.
I think he's definitely in the running for it, especially if he wins against John Rocha. Now, here's the thing: if John Rocha, if William Bibiani wins the defends the championship successfully, he has now done something that John Rocha has never done. Does that make him a better player than John Rocha, Frank Janisch?
Interesting. That's interesting. I don't think so, because Rocha has also won the team belt. So
that's true.
I think you got to give I'm going to give a slight edge to Rocha in this. Because I think Bibiani's fully capable with Whitney if they stick together as critically acclaimed, which I think they would. You would think, hopefully, maybe, I don't know. Chris Clark probably has nightmares about this one, but Bibiani could very well make a run in teams next year if that works out that way. So for right now, I think Rocha overall, his history would say that he gets a slight edge, but it's a heads-up match here between Bibbs and Rocha for the title. Depends how it goes down. If it's a major ass-kicking in favor of Bibiani, then it's going to be hard to make the argument that Rocha has a slight edge. But, it all depends how they play, how that match goes down.
It's going to be a debate. I think we have this debate next week, depending on the outcome.
God.
Because it
debate.
will be fun. I'll moderate between you and Chris, because y'all are the 2 big fanboys of the respective competitors. I am a fan of both. But like I said, I got John Rocha in this match by a hair. I got him by a hair, by a little bit, by a hair.
I've been on record for weeks now saying that once he got past Andrew Guy, or once Riley lost to Andrew Guy, I thought that it was lined up for Rocha to have a real legit shot, because I thought Riley would have been a very serious competition for Rocha. And Rocha ended up playing Guy, and so I thought he was going to beat him there, and I really think that Rocha can do it against Bibiani. I've been saying it for weeks. I just think Rocha is built for this kind of competition mentally, and I think he has the knowledge, and I think everything's going to click for him in this match, and he will be a 2-time champ now after this. I think.
We will see. We will see. He either becomes a 2-time champion or William the Beast Bibiani does something John Rocha has never done, successfully defend the singles championship. There is a lot at stake next week here in the world of the Schmoedown, but I want to go around the table and start with Chris Clark. Chris Clark, let people know where they can find you and what you got to plug, brother.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ChrisClark8788. Those numbers mean nothing. And remember, on Sunday, as Brad has said, the 21st Back to the Future Day is the Back to the Future Rundown Schmoedown, which is the second Rundown Schmoedown. It will be live at 8 p.m. EST. Do the math, figure out what time zone you're in. Be in the chat, play along. And also, the Schmoedown Trivia Schmoedown on the Collider Podcast Network returns next Thursday, the 25th, with some great fans who are going to be going at it and doing Schmoedown Trivia. It's a blast. It's once a month, so make sure to check that out and to keep rocking.
Keep rocking, Frank Janisch.
Yeah, find me on Twitter and Instagram at FrankieJ29. And then check out the stat site at the link.
Why were you so timid to say your Instagram?
I wasn't.
And Instagram? It sounded very timid.
Find me on Twitter and the gram, FrankieJ29.
That's right, player. You can find me on all social media at Brad Gilmore. Make sure you follow us at SD Rundown on Twitter, Schmoedown Rundown on Instagram, and Schmoedown Rundown on Facebook. But until next time, Frank Janisch, your texts are going to be really bad from Christian Harloff. I'm Brad Gilmore. We'll see you all next week.
Hey, I'll screenshot those, man.